Shannon Clear, everybody. Unlike Shannon, all my wet dreams are monogamous. So, our next storyteller is a newcomer to Richmond.
Woo!
That's not him, though. His name is Choate. He's going to tell us a story entitled, and we kind of collaborated on this, so I'm not going to, Anyways, the story is entitled, My Dogs Are Tired, This Pun's on Me. He grew up in Arkansas, moved to Richmond from New Orleans recently. He is currently unemployed, so if anybody has a job opportunity out there for him, be thinking of Guy. He also has a blog called Get Out of This Place at tumblr.com. Everybody, Guy Choate.
So in 2005, I decided that it would be a good idea to walk across the country. And so I flew to LA and took every step. And we were 6 weeks in when I was just north of Flagstaff, Arizona, in a tent beside the road, thinking that I might be freezing to death. And so the next morning, I got up and I went and I found myself this really warm-looking dog named Kaya. And I adopted Kaya, and that first night in the tent together, Kaya stayed as far away from me as she could possibly get. Until the coyotes in the distance started howling and yipping and doing all the things that coyotes do. And she started to see the potential benefit to having a really scary-looking human with her. And so she, the closer that the coyotes got to the tent, the closer she got to me, until I was eventually just holding her and promising her that nothing's going to happen to you as long as we're together. And then, of course, the next day I made her walk into the painted desert, and my water tasted really funny. And I thought, you don't want to be walking into the desert with funny tasting water. And I was really dizzy 6 miles in. And so even though I was trying to take every step, I decided that this might be an occasion where it would be okay to take a ride if somebody offered it. And so when this little red two-door Ford Ranger pulled over onto the shoulder, this Native American guy got out of the passenger side and he said, come on man, get in. And so I put Kaya into the camper shell of his truck with my pack, and then I wedged myself behind his seat in the cab. And the driver said, where are you headed? It's Gray Mountain, the next town, to get some water. He said, well, that's where this guy's going. And I realized three things pretty quickly in this truck. One, they didn't know each other. And two, it was 9:30 in the morning and they were both hammered. And we're all over the road. It's this 2-lane road through the painted desert. And I can look into the back of the truck, the glass, and I can see Kaya desperately trying to keep her balance. And she's giving me this look like, what now, asshole? And then the third thing is that the guy in the passenger seat is also hitchhiking, but he's hitchhiking from prison. He had gotten out that morning for doing something called manslaughter, and he was in there for 10 years. But he said it shouldn't be manslaughter because he really just pulled a gun out and shot a guy in the head, and it should have been murder, and he got really lucky. So, I'm like, cool. And then he says, hold on. Like, what are you, man? And I'm thinking, like, is he looking for, I'm 23? Or is he looking for something else, like, I'm heterosexual? Like, I don't know where this is going at all. And then the driver says, yeah, man, what are you? Navajo or Hopi? And obviously I'm not Navajo or Hopi. And so I just said, well, what are you guys? Because I remember when I was in Flagstaff, they said, you should be aware that the Navajo and the Hopi nations are at war with each other. Which, who knew? And so I just said, what are you guys? And they look at each other, and they look at me, and they're just like, Navajo, and they're sitting in this thing, and it was like, me too. And so we're all, Navajo, everybody, and we're high-fiving and stuff, and we're having a really good time just careening down this road. And then the killer turns to me and he says, hey man, you should come home with me and help me surprise my wife. And I was like, what do you mean she doesn't know you got out? And he's like, no, I haven't talked to her in like 10 years. And I was like, wow, that is going to be a surprise. But luckily, before I had to say anything, Cooter, the driver's name is Cooter, he turned and he says, no, man, he can't go home with you, he's got to come home with me. And the guy's like, why is he coming home with you? And he says, well, he's my reincarnated dead uncle. It's like, the killer's starting to sound a little better. And he says, you know, I've told my girlfriend all about you. She can't wait to meet you. And, you know, Cooter, we just met. And he says, do you like Frito chili pies, man? It's like, you know, I can get down with some Frito chili pies. And he said, my girlfriend makes the best Frito chili pies. And so, you know, I decided that Cooter's probably the best option here, and I agreed to go home with him, but not for the 2 weeks that he wants me to come home with him, but rather just the 2 hours that it would take to go home and meet his girlfriend and partake of the aforementioned Frito chili pie. And then, but you know, these are scary looking dudes, and this is a really bad vibe about this whole situation, and so I know I need to get out of it, and I can't figure out how. And because it's a really claustrophobic place to be behind one of those seats in a 2-door Ford Ranger from the late 90s. And so I get really lucky and I see this cop coming head on, or this 2-lane road, and this cop's coming, and I mean, we're about to literally hit the cop. And so the cop comes in behind us and he pulls us over, and he arrests Cooter, and he kind of validates the killer's story, and he says, you know, you just got out this morning, and you got 3 warrants out for your arrest, you need to be a little more careful. And then he says, and what's your deal, man? And it's just like, hey, I'm just trying to walk across the country. And he said, you really need to get off the reservation. And so that's what I tried to do. And he sent me and the killer walking down the road together. And presumably the killer thinks that, you know, I'm going home with him to surprise his wife. He said we were going to party. And then I'm still trying to figure out how to get out of that. When the killer decides he needs to go to the fence row and pee, and you know, this is completely open, you can just see for miles and miles and miles. But when he goes to the fence row, I decided that, you know, now's the chance. And so I just power step it out of there. And I've got like this 80-pound pack, and so I can't exactly run. So I'm just grandma's at the mall. You know, I'm just and then when he realizes what's going on, he kind of starts to yell at me, and which is really scary. And but he's hammered, and so he can't run either. And so we're both walking. We're both power walking. We're like miles from the town. And so it's like this really intense, long, slow chase that's happening. And so, but finally we get to Gray Mountain, and this guy's coming out of the gas station, like the only building that I saw in Gray Mountain during my tenure there. But he's getting into his truck, and I said, man, hey, long story, this guy's chasing me. Can you give me a lift out of town? And so he's like, yeah, hop in. So we're in the back of his truck, just on the other side of Gray Mountain, and I was holding Kai again, and I said, I promise I'm going to do better to take care of you. Thank you very much. Everybody, welcome God.